Boys, the world is back in order. This motherfucker moistcritical is actually a person who cannot explain his thought process, even if your life depended on it. So today we're gonna be looking at a good goddamn thing, a thing I find so funny, it's fucking amazing. It's him debating fucking SNEAKO. Jesus Christ.
No, I met somebody that that knows you when I went to do the Jinxie podcast.
Oh yeah, at Jinxie's place?
Nah, Panera Bread. At Panera Bread. Luckily, I mean, I'm not saying this to like be a dick, but he was like, "Yo, I'm a fan of you." Like, it was like he had like some cancer thing outside Panera Bread, and he's like, moistcritical didn't donate anything. Maybe he was just trying to get a sale, and then when he said that, I'm like, "Yeah, bro, clips not mags," and then I gave him $100.
Nice.
So let me show you like something simple. So when it comes to fucking moistcritical, a thing that I took away from the last video that I covered was the fact that moistcritical said this.
Actually change. There's nothing to gain with just holding a grudge forever. That's childish. If someone is actually willing to learn and grow from things, I'm more than willing to break bread with them.
Okay, so basically here's the wild and wacky thing about this. moistcritical's line for a grudge is super weird. I've never seen a person say something so opposite to whatever the fuck he's talking about in my entire life. With the Logan Paul stuff, he was literally talking about the idea, the fact that Logan Paul has changed and he has accepted responsibility without even looking through any of his filings, any of the fucking information that's out there to see if the things have actually changed. And for SNEAKO, he didn't look at anything at all. This man has only gotten worse since the last time he's talked to moistcritical, and now he has been lured into the idea that debating the fucking age of consent and trans issues are anything that he should be doing. He's not a political commentator. He's not a person well versed in these issues, and the fact that he fucking got clip chimped this hard in this debate really seems to be a fact that moistcritical needs to reevaluate what his line for grudges really are. I have never seen something so horribly wrong go down or happen in my entire life until I saw this debate.
Yeah, so let's talk about what we came to talk about.
Yeah, man. So with all of what's going on here, why are you so insistent on like the age of consent being like unreasonable? Or at least that's the impression I and most people gather from the way you speak about it.
That's a valid question, and I want to first ask, like, what's your issue with my opinion on the age of consent, age of marriage?
Because I feel like age of consent should just be an accepted number, and I think the accepted one is 18. Like, regardless of where you talk about in the world, I feel like once you start talking about someone under 18, you're basically just talking like a predator. Like, I feel like 18 is a pretty well-established number for most sensible people.
You see, saying this is good and well and all like fucking well-rounded, but then you start to get into this question of why is it that place? And SNEAKO capitalizes on this throughout the entire debate. There's not a single point where he's not using this beginning statement to capitalize. You make fucking the pedophile fucking take your point and you fucking make them have inconsistencies. His consistent worldview doesn't seem so consistent where you make it have a beginning argument that isn't argued against, and he doesn't have to round out his whole worldview. You see, this is the reason that fucking debaters out there will talk for 15-20 minutes about their entire worldview, so that if things don't feel consistent, they can go back and be like, hey, this right here, this is why that part right there is consistent. But fucking moistcritical does not do this throughout the entire debate, and he starts to look fucking stupid.
Not a 19-year-old, right? So why would you be arguing for like a 16, you know?
First off, I'm not arguing to lower the age of consent. I don't believe in the age of consent.
Keep this in mind. Keep this in mind for the entire debate, okay? We're sitting on a precipice. Now, it makes him look fucking insane. But I need you to remember this because, like, coming up, he's going to say something that doesn't make any sense.
Can get there. I want to establish some terms first.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's not even just with Romeo and Juliet laws. There's a lot of states where it's 16 regardless of Romeo and Juliet. And then you go to Europe, most countries are 16. Japan, I think they just changed it. It was like 13 or 14, and now it's 16. Brazil, it's 14. I saw that from a Nelk Boys video. They were joking around about how they should, like, when in Rome, they're in Brazil, so they might as well sleep with a 14-year-old, right? Or across the world, 18. I want to see, like, why do you think 18 is the age of consent?
Because that right now is the one that makes the most sense. I guess to piggyback off what you're saying, so if you're traveling right now, if you go to Europe, are you going to be comfortable, like, hooking up with a 16-year-old? Like, just because it's legal there, would that make you feel comfortable?
No, I don't hook up anymore. I'm not
saying that you do, but I'm saying if you were, you know, single and looking for someone, would you feel comfortable with it being a 16-year-old if it's in Europe versus US?
I wouldn't do that. Like, I would not have sex before. I think sex, like, out of wedlock altogether is something that we should not encourage anymore.
You see, it's wild. You see, if people care so much about the age of consent, right? You telling them that fucking getting married would probably fix all of society's problems, all that's going to do is make them put a arbitrary rate on marriage, which, by the way, we probably should. Just saying, you probably shouldn't be getting married till 21. But, like, holy shit, you cannot fucking, like, put a hand on a stone near the fire and then tell me that you're gonna get your way if that fucking way you thought gets put into place. All that's going to happen is literally you're going to get mobbed and everybody's just gonna turn marriage into the wedge issue to make pedophilia illegal. Also, by the way, he only talks directly about sex, the physical action, which means grooming people is on the table, fucking doing all this other wacky and wild shit is on the table. And Moist Critical refuses to bring this up. It's not that he can't, it's not that he's too stupid. Well, I hope he's not too stupid, but the fact that he just literally cannot bring it up for the life of him. I have no idea why.
Would you feel comfortable marrying a 16-year-old? Like, would you meet a 16-year-old with romantic intent if you're in Europe? And maybe marry a 16-year-old.
Get along
I
with
would.
anybody as long as they're
I
not
probably
getting
wouldn't
pushback.
personally, because I don't think that I'd be on the
Basically,
same mental
that
playing field. I like to have intellectual conversations. I like to be more. I like to be with women that are around my same age, because then I can have conversations. I like to relate to them. I think there'd be too much of a gap. But other people, like, if they're able to get along, then I don't see why that's so much of a problem.
He doesn't believe in the age of consent. In his world, basically, he would be taking that away. Okay, you would be replacing that with having no sex out of wedlock, and you would have to make that illegal. Basically, what you're doing is basically removing the taboo between the age of consent, replacing it with the taboo of having sex out of wedlock, but people break taboos all the time. So basically, all you're doing is removing it and not replacing it with something else. So that's fucking insane.
But why don't you see that as a problem? So for you, you're recognizing, like, this person's much younger than me. It is a kid. Like, you are talking to.
Okay, so let's define these terms. Let's
in high school.
Before we even get into, let's define these terms before we even get into this conversation. What is a child?
I would use the age of consent. Under 18 would be a kid in my eyes.
So a 17-year-old who's 364 days, that's a kid?
Yep, I'm gonna use very hard set terms. If it is under 18, even if it's 17, 364, that's still a kid.
This moment really fucks up Critical. I'm going to skip ahead in the fucking debate, but to be clear, he has absolutely fucked up here, and you will see this when I get to it.
The kid. Okay,
I think it's important to have these hard lines in the sand where it doesn't have this kind of wiggle room.
Okay, why does that define kid?
as I said earlier, at 18, at that point, you're going out of high school, you're going to college, you're living on your own, you're no longer, a child under your parents' roof, for the most part, extenuating circumstances, of course. But at that age, you are starting to become independent. You are no longer just in your parents' household a kid. You
Right,
are
but
now going off into the world on your own.
You do admit that varies for most people, right? A lot of people don't move out of their parents' homes until they're 25, 26, 27. A lot of people don't.
There's nothing wrong with that.
A lot of people graduate high
whole,
school 16. A lot of people graduate high school 20. It's a huge variable. So to set that in stone as that this is when you're a kid and this is you're an adult, that doesn't apply to most people. So why would you define a kid and an adult if it doesn't apply to most people?
You see, you find a median area, okay? You find a place that's in the middle of all these age ranges and groups, and then you put the age of consent right there in order to make sure that, hey, we're going to leave these people out, and I think this right here is the most valid place to even put the age of consent, right? You're going to have places that are fucking way off in the other direction and way further towards 25, right? But if you find a median area and you make, hey, this shit's not okay and the rest of this is okay, well, that's pretty fine to me. There's absolutely no way you can go wrong by finding a median area and then fucking placing the age of consent right there. But to be clear, SNEAKO does not believe in the age of consent. He doesn't think it should exist.
So if Kamala Harris raised it to 25, would you then say that that's the new age? Would you agree with that?
I think that'd be totally understandable. Like,
Right.
I think that's fine.
So then does that make
so
does that make anybody who sleeps with an under 25-year-old, does that now make them a pedophile?
You see, there are issues with raising the age of consent because we run into another problem, okay? Most people will sit there and tell you if the age of consent is legal and we raise the age of consent, everything below that will become acceptable to have sex with each other. Well, within reasonable standards, of course. 13-year-olds having sex with 9-year-olds are clearly still not okay. But, like, you are basically causing the problem, but then you're cutting it off at an arbitrary standard, right? It would have to be, like, something not higher, and you can't really go lower with the age of consent, because that just puts everybody on the fucking... Like, there's so many issues with raising or lowering the age of consent. If you raise the age of consent, you have to make it very, very, very fucking culturally taboo for 25-year-olds to be sleeping with fucking 16-year-olds. And then if you fucking decrease the age of consent, you're just fucking putting everybody at that age range as an adult. So either way, you have fucked yourself. You just leave this shit where it is, not because you have like something fucking wild to say, but because there is so much that can go wrong by raising or lowering the age of consent. And I don't really see many people talking about the fact that like this shit just can't be changed at this point, and if we change it too much, we are adding people to the minor category or adding people to the adult category, and you don't want that problem.
So then why, if you're arguing, we can take sex out of it, why, when you're arguing for marriage, do you want it to drop? Like, okay, 16.
When did I say, just because I don't believe in the age of consent does not mean that I want it to drop.
Alright, so basically the main issue here is that he is fucking stupid. When you say you don't believe in the age of consent, honestly, all that does is say, hey, the statement of age of consent is arbitrary and should be dropped. Instead, you should just have the age for being married and all that other stupid shit, which all you've done is drop the age of consent and put like the marriage age instead, which is fucking retarded.
Beefophile. If you have sex with someone under 18 but over 12, you're a beebophile or whatever it's called.
Okay, so he's not a pedophile anymore. You just changed it. So now he's a beebophile?
Well, I'd still use just that word. It's bad. Yeah, if you are having sex with like a 16, 17-year-old, it's bad pedophile behavior.
Okay, so it's not it's not a beebophile anymore. It's a pedophile.
You're talking about terms. The correct term is a
I want to figure out because
stupid.
Moist, we can't have a discussion if we don't define terms.
You were the one that immediately got mad that I used pedophile incorrectly to just do a blanket term for
Exactly.
under 18.
I didn't get mad, but I'm pointing out, if we define a term and then you change the definition of the term within the conversation, then the conversation
I'm not
makes
changing the term. You got upset because it's not the strict definition of pedophile. It is someone that hasn't gone through puberty. But we're using just this term to refer to anyone under 18.
Okay, so we're using
you were upset
words.
it wasn't a textbook definition.
So we're using words, and we don't care about their meaning anymore.
You're doing the same thing.
No, I'm following. I'm not trying to do a gotcha. I'm following your line of logic. We're using
It's
a
not
word.
a- it's not a
So
gotcha, it's just not a
Cody
good
Co.
point.
So Cody Co's a pedophile. Based off your logic, Cody Co's a pedophile, even though he's not a pedophile.
We're using that term. Yeah, he had sex with a 17-year-old.
It's not. We're not just
pedophile,
using. We're not
sure.
using the term. It's
It's
either.
statutory rape. It's statutory rape.
That's not what I'm not talking about. Statutory. I'm asking you if is he.
That's the legal term. It's statutory rape, having sex with a 17-year-old after you're an adult.
So you change the term again. It was first beebophile, now pedophile, now statutory rape. Which one? Which one? See, the reason that I'm having this discussion with you is you can't use arbitrary words that have no meaning to apply to somebody, because that's how you cancel somebody. That's how you just say things around, and that's how you get to shame somebody, ruin their reputation, and that's when words lose all meaning.
You see, it's a fucking shit show. You see, when SNEAKO says an argument like this, it makes me think that he doesn't understand the difference between the definition that you find in a fucking textbook and the colloquial definition that you'll find people in the public using. Not everybody in the fucking world uses every word exactly the way it should be used. Some people use metaphors and similes and shit like that, and some people don't even use the words exactly how they need to be used in order to be found, right? So basically, all you're doing is telling me, hey, we should make everything in the fucking dictionary be used the exact same way in public definitions when talking to each other, which nobody fucking uses it that way. What we do is we have a fucking standard that goes all the way across that we find, and then everybody starts to pick up on the way that word is used. When we use pedophile, we say everybody under the age of 18, although there's like fucking ways to separate it out even further. But that's because we as a society have agreed that that's the colloquial definition, and that makes the most sense. So yeah, of course there's like some stupid shit going on, but that's because of the colloquial, the fucking broader public. It isn't just because of moist critical. You would have to be calling literally almost half of society stupid. Actually, not even half. I think it's like 75%. But you know, that's just me.
Just incredible. Where does your morality? I want to leave on this. I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but I do want to touch on this before I go. Where does your morality come from?
We already went over this, right? Personal experience and everything I take in from the world and process up in here.
Okay. 10 years ago, did you believe that a child can go through transgender therapy? Can they cut their penis off?
10 years ago, I didn't know anything about it. I wasn't unaware of it. And then when I learned about it, I formed my own morality on it based on everything I saw, read, came to my own conclusions.
Okay. If I told you when you were a kid that it was okay legally and morally to cut your dick off, would you agree?
Like what do you mean? Would I do it, or would I say that that's okay?
Would you say that that's okay?
I'd have no idea on how to even process something like that. I'm a fucking child.
How old are you now?
29.
Okay. When you were 10 years ago, like, and you had heard about it, because this was still bubbling. There was, I think Caitlyn Jenner was first popping up. This was like the talk of the town. If I told you 10 years ago, try to remember that Trump was running for president, 2014. What's happened? Like, Obama's still in office, right? I tell you it's okay to cut kids' penises off. You saying that's cool?
So 10 years ago?
Yeah.
I'd say let me look into it, and probably if it's a decision they came to with professionals and their family, I'd say yeah.
You say that's gonna go?
I'd say you have the right to make that decision for yourself. Yeah.
Can you? I don't even know how to get through to like people like you sometimes. Why? Because why is it okay? Why? Okay, I'm not trying to be up. Why do you think a kid can consent to that, but they can't consent to marriage?
Oh my god, dude, I don't know what's wrong with the moist critical. Like, this is the only thing I have a problem with, and it's that he can't appropriately defend himself. Now, I get he's not a debater. I get that he's not like the most abstract, most like fucking legally binding, fucking whatever the fuck all the buzzwords are. But like, god damn, he can't defend his positions. So when you hear the words 9-year-olds and transitioning, you just say no off the bat, so you don't have to go down an argument that you can't win. SNEAKO has been debating fucking Destiny for like 10 months straight, and he's been getting smarter in the way that he fucking argues. Not actually intelligent, he just gets smarter in the way he argues. It's just fucking, like, this is anger inducing, and it's so anger inducing that I usually just can't fucking finish the videos. That's how horrible it is. I just can't finish a debate where this motherfucker fucking says that 9-year-olds can have their dicks cut off. It's just horrible. There's no way to get around it. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Have a beautiful day, and remember, everybody here is fucking stupid. And although I agree with trans rights, it doesn't mean I agree with people getting their dicks chopped off when they're 9 years old. Now he does clarify. But, you know, peace and love, bye.
Put your nose up in these britches. We'll see a deep throat, 0.5 inches. Yeah. I stuck my fingers in. You were high on heroin. Are you now remembering?